I've got 2 question cards, one here and one here. So let's try the floor and then we'll go to 3.
Brian Law, clergy, Ohio River Valley. I would like to make a motion that we suspend the rules for these last 3 recommendations, treat them all as one, cease all debate, and vote them either up or down.
All right. Let's hold tight on the applause. And everybody's worked hard on this. And that's before you. Is it supported? Okay, I hear some support. You can debate the motion to suspend, and it will take 2/3. So what conversation you want to have on the motion to suspend for the purpose our brother has stated? You want to express yourself on it? All right, let's get your keypads. And got a question here. Floor mic.
My question is, I'm Wayne Heim from Capital Area North, Lay. My question, Bishop, sir, is whether, how soon can a question be called on each of the questions if we don't pass by 2/3 this current motion?
If this doesn't pass and we begin to take them as we would normally, I don't know that there's a prohibition on when you can call for the question. It's always the House's judgment as to whether or not they want to call for the question, and we can act on that and then act on the piece that's before us. So it would not restrict your ability to call for the question after, the petition is before us. But this, if you suspend the rules now, this will get them before us immediately and with the parameters that have been outlined. Brother Wall. Yeah, so I've got 2 parts to this, and thank you, friend. I don't know what backhoe you're pulling me out of the ditch with, but I'm grateful for it. So we don't need to debate and can't debate the motion to suspend, but on the if we don't suspend and we move to taking these motions in order, the rules that we have are 2 for and 2 against, so you'd have to move to suspend those rules in order to move us forward, I'm thinking. So that we'd have to actually get into it and then try to shorten it up. So let's deal with this one that's before us from Brother Law, and he doesn't look like he's needing to speak to it again. And let's get your keypads, because this is a 2/3 piece. And this is to suspend, in order that we might take all 3 remaining petitions, and that they would have an up or down vote without further conversation. Yeah, and was it your intention that at least the makers would be able to make the 2-minute presentation? All right, that was your intention, Brother Law. So you would be allowing for them to say what they had in mind with these petitions. We're ready to go. Okay, all right. Yes with 1 and no with 2 on your keypads. Please vote now on this suspension of the rules for how we'll manage these last 3 matters in front of us. Please vote now. I guess I missed that one. But the clock started running without me, I tell you. All right, I think they're cleaning it up. Let's see how we did in a minute. All right, I think you have sustained this request for the suspension for the purpose stated. There it is. All right. Who is from the team that has put these together going to make a presentation for us? That's you. Okay. Floor mic, and we'll get it right to you. Brother Fairchild.
Daryl Fairchild, Miami Valley, clergy, Miami Valley District. Bishop, I just have to say, this house is incredible.
Indeed.
Brothers and sisters, Jesus teaches us to be as wise as serpents and to be as gentle as doves. Poetically proclaimed, that is, to be tough-minded and tender-hearted. Too often we have made our exhortation to care for creation in tender-hearted terms. When we do so, some people of faith will ask important, tough-minded questions. At the center of these tough-minded concerns is fiduciary responsibility. This responsibility gets defined wrongly as a financial responsibility, and too often it is defined in a very narrow, wrong way as maximizing profits. I served on the Otterbein Homes board for 12 years, where I was well schooled in the definition of fiduciary responsibility. Fiduciary responsibility is defined by 3 duties: the duty of loyalty, the duty of disclosure, and the duty to monitor. Germane for us is the duty of loyalty, which requires trustees to act for the best interest of those people whose interests are entrusted to them. The standard for this duty is prudence. That is, given all the factors, can a reasonable person make this decision? Since fiduciary responsibility is not equivalent to a financial responsibility, other factors are expected to be included when decisions are made. I believe this is especially true when beneficiaries are ones who have given their lives in service of the living God, revealed in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus the Christ. So is it responsible to divest? The University of Dayton, who I know well and whose board is composed of tough-minded leaders, voted last June to divest from fossil fuels. The fact that UD, religious bodies, universities, and other institutions are divesting from fossil fuels quickly answers the question, yes, it is reasonable to divest. So divesting from fossil fuels clears the fiduciary responsibility threshold. Still, a tough-minded person might ask, is divesting a sound investment strategy? What the University of Dayton and others are finding when they look closely is that fossil fuels historically have average returns. This analysis means we have ample options where we can invest and expect to get similar returns. A tough-minded person might also ask, won't fossil fuels give us the absolute best returns for those who have given so much in service? UD and other universities are taking the lead in the divestment movement because they have insider knowledge, if you will. They are filled with scholars who are at the leading edge of earth science, finance, and economics. What they are finding is that the fossil fuel industry will not be able to sell all of their inventory because of the impact using them will have on God's creation. To be clear, the current market is overvaluing these investments, and there will be a moment when the market corrects. The divestment movement is going to speed up that moment. When considered through Christian tough-mindedness, it is clear to remain invested in fossil fuels is financially risky, imprudent, and possibly even a failure of fiduciary responsibility. I ask you to support these recommendations.
Right. Thank you. And has it been moved, Sister Jocelyn? We suspended the rules so that we could get them in front of us together. Okay. Thanks, Daryl. Go ahead and move them.
Of this petition.
Petitions. Yeah.
Petitions.
Okay, thanks. Thanks so much. Thank you from our Agenda and Planning Committee. All right, friends, you've suspended the rules. Let's get your keypads ready. Only majority vote. 1 is yes, 2 is no, to endorse them moving forward to the General Conference with a stamp from us, so to speak. All right? And this is really, is it 9? How many? 9, 10, and 11? No, he said bundle them in the vote. Yeah. So it's 9, 10, and 11. So I don't want to mislead you. All right, everybody good on what we're doing? And okay, all right. So 1 is yes, 2 is no, up or down on 9, 10, and 11. And when the screen comes up, I will say, hello. Now really sing amen. All right, you still have energy to sing. I'm impressed. All right, friends, I think you know what you're doing. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Please vote now, and we'll give it beyond the 30 seconds to make sure your vote is tallied. All right, friends, you have forwarded them. Thank you very much. We've got 2 other things, I think, to say and do. I want to give you a ballot report. After I give you that ballot report, I need to ask all of the members of the delegation that is general jurisdictional and all alternates would move to the stage. I'll offer a final blessing and prayer over you and over the adjournment of this annual conference. And then I want you to understand that as they were distributed to you this morning in that form, the appointments are fixed as printed, okay? All right, thanks. All right, let's have on the screen for you the final clergy plurality ballot. 462 voting, required for election 232, but of course it was plurality. And so there are the 8 and, the 6 and the 8 that finish out the whole delegation. Let's bless God for these saints' willingness to serve us. So if all of our colleagues, lay and clergy, who are, Oh, you want more time? All right, well, let's just stay here a while. Let's put it on the screen. Let me know when you're good. No, I'm going to put it on the screen. Yeah, they can, yeah. But if you're in the delegation, let's start moving to the stage. Okay. I like it. As you're getting your screenshots, would you allow me the privilege as I rise to get my jacket on and go on the stage? We've talked all along and throughout these days of how well you have managed yourselves and this good work, and we are grateful together. And of the myriad of people that have worked in front of and behind the scenes, from planning and worship and logistics to communications, technical support, there are two people that I want to say a word about as these other delegates are coming up. And they happen to work with Barb and I in the Episcopal office. They'll be mad at me on Monday morning, but it's okay. And that is the secretary to the bishop, Sister Karen Corbett, that many of you know, who's down here in the front. And to my left and your right, Brother Tim McCoy, who works in the Episcopal office with Barb and me, who is the logistics manager for this operation. So they probably won't be speaking to me Monday morning because they don't like public praise, but we feel the need to do it, and we all need to hear thank you so much. Wow. Hey, you guys stayed. Yeah. And your meeting is right on this stage. Don't take off. Your meeting's right here, okay? All right. My friends, it's a great privilege and responsibility to be a delegate to the general and or the jurisdictional conferences. And by the way, this is just a little lesson. It may engage in a bit of hair splitting, but it doesn't mean it's not true, that the only place in the discipline around conferencing that uses the word delegate is general and jurisdictional conference. When you come to the annual conference, the district conference, you are a member of it. That's, words are important. They shape and they frame. I won't exegete it, and I don't have all of the etymology, but that distinction, and it's been there for a long time, so it means something. But you have invested your love and support in these colleagues, in their ongoing nurture, in your commitment to their being leaders among you, and they are leaders in the midst of a room full of leaders. And you've made yourself available for nothing less than God's work through the United Methodist Church and through the general and the jurisdictional conferences. And it is, and I happen to believe that all conferencing in our tradition is intended to be a holy engagement where we are connected with God, more deeply connected to the mission, and we become more deeply connected to one another in mission and ministry. And tough choices, as well as choices that sometimes seem easy, need to be made. Sometimes the toughness is not the polarity of thinking. The toughness is everybody agrees the cause is right, and lots of people believe there's not enough material resources to do it. The other thing I want to say to you, and I want to say to you because my experience having been a delegate to 4 general conferences, 88 through 92, and subsequently the jurisdictional conferences is, these folks are going to develop a whole lot of pen pals that they did not have before they came here and got elected. By the way, you should get you a separate email address for general conference stuff, but that's not my business if you want to have to sort that. And well, they should. There'll be volumes of reading, and whether it's in print or whether it's digitized, it's still there. There'll be some things you will become more competent in than others, but you are responsible for the whole. If you cast a vote, you're responsible for the whole. But it doesn't mean that you'll have the same level of knowledge. So the other side from the other reality is some of folks in our annual conference, but throughout the annual conferences, throughout the globe, are going to be writing you because this will all be public that you're a delegate, and they're going to be saying, I hope on this matter and this matter and this matter and this matter, you will vote in this way. Sometimes they'll just say, I hope you will think about. So I would say receive that with good grace and dignity, and then open the conversation beyond that with folks in the annual conference, not just in the delegation, because other folks could have been here. Am I right about it? But to say, help me to think this through. I'm strong on ordained ministry matters, but when it gets to the denominational pension plan, I'm just lost. I mean, I'm just using an easy example because that would be the one for me. I'm strong on these things in the social principles section, but I'm not as strong on understanding the structural connectivity, its history, and what we are free to do. How do we learn to balance what's in the book of discipline and align our aspirations for changes with whether or not it needs a constitutional change to be sustained? These are all illustrative and not political in terms of any particular issue. So thank you for giving yourself to this work. Trust that you will be held accountable, not just to the folks in the little inner core of the delegation, but to the folks in the annual conference. But in the annual conferences, and every time you cast a vote, it will be with the whole church in mind. So your universe, if it's not already, will expand. And everyone with whom you agree and disagree are yet your sisters and brothers. Now, finally, this. It is possible. It's a secret. But it is possible to even have a little fun. But it's a secret. So what I lay out to you by way of hopeful expectation, I do not intend to say it's a burden. And if it is, if some things are heavier than others, the things that you'll be able to bear with great ease and joy will make the things that are more onerous for you far easier to bear. I could say more, but you've all been so patient and so tolerant. And so I want now to address you and then you just to get some affirmations and confirmations. These folks have been presented to you as your delegates to General and Jurisdictional Conference. You've elected them. We've operated in good faith. We've worked through all of our glitches. And there is a reasonable picture of lots, if not all aspects of our annual conference. That's not easy to do with 1,020 plus churches, 180,000 plus souls. Not easy to do. But its intention is that everybody in the life of this annual conference could look up at this delegation and see in some way, shape, or form some sense of connectivity to the whole, but also to any specificity that is absolutely important to them for their pilgrimage as a United Methodist Christian. So I ask you, do you promise to seek God in all you do? And the response is, we do by the grace of God. We do by the grace of God. Will you listen for God's voice, seek God's wisdom, and act in ways that build up God's kingdom? We will by the grace of God. And you're not off the hook, saints. Do you promise to uphold these persons as they attend the general and jurisdictional conferences, to pray for them as they seek to hear God, and to support them with your wisdom and your counsel? And the response is the same. Oh, that's so rousing. Now, the program calls for me to give my words now. I've already given them. So I'd like for us to rise as able and sing one verse of Standing on the Promises and then a blessing. Standing on the promises of Christ my King, through eternal ages let his praises ring. Glory in the highest I will shout and sing, standing on the promises of God. Standing, standing, standing on the promises of God, my Savior. Standing, standing. I'm standing on the promises of God. Amen. Let us go now from this place, taken, blessed, broken, only to be given. And may the blessings of Almighty God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, be upon you and remain with you always, to which we say, Amen. We are adjourned, and you are awesome. Go in peace.